Now let's take a look at what we can learn from looking at other people's content online. So in these next lessons, what we're gonna do is look at some successful social media content from TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And the goal with these lessons is to gather some general understandings from a wide perspective and from an overview before diving into a deep dive on creating successful content in the following chapters for each of the platforms that we're gonna go over. So let's do a case study on some TikToks. And overall, TikTok is an interesting platform because the professional look doesn't necessarily mean more views or engagement. So the techniques that we're gonna teach you are still applicable and absolutely can still be used to upgrade your content. But what I want you to focus on here is determining and drilling down on your audience and speaking to them in a way that feels organic, and then using the film production techniques that we're gonna go through in this course to add to that. So let's see what I'm talking about by looking at some of these TikTok examples. So here are 4 videos I pulled that actually made it in the top 10 most viewed TikToks of all time. After we look at these relatively low production quality examples, we'll then look at some more produced examples so you can compare and contrast the difference and take what works for you so that you can add that into your content. So let's check out this first example.
Like my costume?
Yo, that's so cool. How are you doing that?
I've got a Nimbus 2000.
Oh, I see.
Mirror.
Wait, is that my longboard?
Oh, Longboardium Leviosa!
Zach, my longboard! Come on, man, get back here! Dude, not cool.
So this really successful creator, Zach King, does an excellent job. And by the way, this has 20 million likes, just likes alone, not even views, but 20 million likes. The reason he's so successful is because he does a really great job of keeping an organic, unproduced, unpolished looking final product that under the hood actually has a lot of sneaky video editing going on. So it does well on TikTok because it fits in the more organic, personality-based content that we see in a lot of these videos that do well on the platform. So let's look at another example from a different creator that's done extremely well. So not as produced as the first example, but it still feels like anyone with their smartphone can shoot a piece of content like this. What it did take though is a little bit of pre-planning, knowing that this was gonna be the intro shot and there was gonna be a cut that was made in post-production that created a payoff for the viewer that acted as a surprise. And that's a theme that you're gonna see with a lot of this short form content, is having something that's either highly educational, highly entertaining and funny, or very, very surprising. So these two creators went about having that surprise factor in a different way. Now let's go on to our third example. So this video actually has even more likes than the original Zach King example. This has got 35 million likes and almost 500,000 comments and 1.6 million reshares. So this took almost no production value. The lighting actually is good on this baby, I'm not gonna lie. Like you can see the eye lights is very soft and just generally overall good lighting, but I don't think that was super intentional from the creator. But what this does offer is something that really resonates with people. Like there's a joke about, it's not as much now, but it used to be how all of YouTube was about cat videos because those were the highest performing videos for a very long time. Why? Because humans are pretty simple and there's some basic things that we're all going to gravitate towards, we're all going to want to view, we're all going to want to share with our friends and family. So shareability plays a huge factor in this as well. So we don't want to get lost just in the video production. We don't want to get lost in just shooting low production value content, but we want to combine all of these things together to create something that's going to resonate with people, that's going to feel authentic, that can be easily shared, and at the end of the day, resonate with people. So these are 3 relatively low production value videos that have done extremely well on a platform like TikTok. Now I want to look at some video creator profiles and just kind of look at more of their grid, and you can see that these people that are producing content regularly that's doing pretty well have developed a unique aesthetic and a unique feeling. Just like all of the Zach King videos, he's always gonna have the same formula. It's gonna be a short, sweet, to the point video that's gonna have some type of magic trick or some editing magic that's going to offer a sense of surprise. Now, this type of video creator is going in a different direction where they're always showing pieces of content from their short films. And the aesthetic remains the same throughout all the content, as you can see. So we're knowing what we're gonna get when we click on their profile. We know what kind of content we're gonna watch, and that creates a sense of familiarity and a reason for people to follow you if they're into that specific look and feel and they resonate with it. Now, if we look at this next video creator that I pulled as a reference because I'm in the filmmaking space as well, you can see that this person's always showing a behind the scenes look. They're showing gear, they're showing projects that they're working on, and overall on-set locations and shoots. And this is another example of knowing what you're getting into when you're clicking onto someone's profile. So she's catering to a specific audience, which that's why before this lesson, we went into identifying our target audience, because we want to zone in and hone in on exactly who we're speaking to. And once we get that niche locked in and we're creating content with a similar aesthetic that's resonating with that audience, that's when we start to get traction with our online content. So now let's kind of recap what we went through comparing low produced or low production value content without any bells and whistles that does really well online, and then more highly produced video production content that also did a good job at developing a following. So a lot of the stuff that we saw was handheld and it was a little bit less produced, but what this did was give a more intimate and friendly feeling of you being there, which is really key to a platform like TikTok. All of the images were evenly exposed, meaning there was no blowouts and there was no bright parts or dark underexposed parts of the image. So super basic stuff that you might not think of, but for example, that baby video that we watched, if it was dark and you couldn't connect with the baby visually, that would have been a problem. Luckily, with the smartphones today, they do a great job of auto exposing for whatever we're shooting, but these are the kind of techniques that you might be overlooking that we're going to get into in the course. Next, they all had really clear audio without any echo, without any buzzing, without any humming. It's super important to have clean, clear audio. And all have a certain element of either surprise, education, or laughter that was effectively captured through the camera, aka the eyes and the ears of the audience, which is what we're going to dive into as well. And one of the last things that I wanted to mention is that most of these videos will loop before there is a clear ending or a definitive ending to the video itself. And just as a sidebar, the reason that's important and a little bit of a hack with short form content is that TikTok is analyzing audience retention. Are they staying on your video, and how long are they staying on your video? If your video is 30 seconds and viewers make it all the way through, that's gonna boost your video in the algorithm of TikTok. So if they're watching your video and they're at the moment where there's around 5 to 10 seconds left, and they can start to tell that the video is gonna end and they start to lose interest, they are gonna swipe away. But if you know that, you can kind of use it as a hack to slightly abruptly end the video just before there's a definitive ending. Whether that's done through editing or whether that's done with cutting things off just a few moments before, rather, the person would lose interest or click away. So it's something that's less of a science and can kind of be felt into looking at the content that you have and observing it as if you were someone seeing it for the first time. And analyzing when are you interested and when do you start to lose interest in that piece of content. This is gonna give you a reference for where to end your video. So that's just a little bit of a sidebar. And now in the next lesson, let's continue to dive into these case studies.